Hey guys, Carl from Purple Place. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Stellarion from designer Shadi Torbey. This is the newest game in his Oniverse series of games, and I believe this is the first game to be published in his own new publishing company, inPatience Games. This is a sort of card or deck manipulation game in which you're using abilities to sort of manipulate a series of decks in order to basically work towards a set collection kind of end game. Disclaimer, I was given a review copy of this game from the publisher, but as always, I will do my best to offer my own honest opinion at the end of this video. With all of that said, let's head down to the table to see exactly how this game plays, both as a base game and with the included modular expansions, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. All right, before we get started with this playthrough, I just want to mention that I am going to be doing 2 playthroughs of the game, first with just the base game, and then for the second playthrough is something I normally wouldn't do on my own, but the easiest way for me to show you all the different modules that come in the box is that I will play a playthrough of the game with all of the modular expansions included together. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into the setup and how to play for the base game, and we'll get into our first playthrough. To set up a game of the base game of Stellarion, begin by separating the celestial cards into 8 different decks. There are 4 decks based on the galaxy type, which is going to be alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. And then there are going to be 4 decks of cards, or 4 types of cards based on the type of card. And those are going to be these ship cards, these nebula cards, these star cards, and finally these planet cards. So separating them into the 8 decks, and each deck will contain 8 cards. For the galaxy cards, you're going to have 2 of each type of card of that galaxy. So we've got 2 stars, 2 planets, 2 nebula, and 2 ships in this alpha deck. And the same will be true for the other 3 galaxies. So we're going to place out the 4 galaxies across the middle of the play area. Of course, shuffling the cards as we place them out. And then in the type decks, we're going to have 2 of each galaxy of that type. So here we've got 2 alpha galaxy, 2 beta galaxy, 2 gamma galaxy, and 2 delta galaxy of that ship type. And each of those types will be exactly the same, basically 2 of each color of each type of card. Once the cards have been laid out on the table, you'll then go ahead and turn over the top card of each of those stacks, like this. And then finally, to complete setup, you're going to be placing out the voyage cards. And they're going to be 2 voyage cards for each of the 2 galaxies. So we're going to place out over here 2 alpha voyages, 2 beta voyages, 2 gamma voyages, and finally 2 delta voyages. And those are going to be sort of our main goal cards, what we're trying to achieve through this game. In addition, one more thing that we can do in setup is place out some of these shooting star tokens. It suggests in the rules that for your first play, you place out 1 of these. If you lose, you can place out more, and if you're winning, then you can place out less. I am going to place out 1 just so you can see how it works if we need to. And I'll explain how that works in just a minute, but these are basically going to be a way to sort of adjust the difficulty of the game, making it slightly easier or slightly harder, depending on the number of those that you've placed out. So with that, we are all set up for gameplay. And Stellarion is going to play out over a series of turns until we either run out of things that we can do on our turn, or if we've managed to collect all of these voyage cards into our victory pile. So how does the game work? Well, on my turn, I get to choose to do one of 2 things. First, I can, from these 8 stacks, spend 4 cards of the same galaxy, each of a different type. So for example, if I had these black alpha cards, a ship, a nebula, a star, and a planet card, I can discard all 4 of those cards to take 1 of the alpha or black galaxy voyage cards into my victory pile. Now I mentioned that this shooting star makes things easier. If I use one of these shooting stars, I only need to have 3 types of a matching galaxy rather than 4, so this basically counts as my 4th type if I decide to use it. And we might towards the end of the game, if we're struggling and we need it to win, we will. Now, of course, it's very unlikely that that set of 4 is just going to magically show up in this array of cards. So for the majority of the game, what we're going to be doing is manipulating these decks of cards using abilities. And there are 4 different abilities based on the 4 different types of card. And we can always choose to discard 2 cards of the same type, whether or not the galaxies are matching, to trigger the action of that card type. And you'll see here on the back of the book, all of those things are explained. And you'll see for each of them there are 2 slightly different levels of ability. The first ability is going to be if the galaxies of those cards don't match. And the second will be if the galaxies of those cards do match. So for the spaceship, we're going to be able to search through a deck, or 2 decks in the case of the matching galaxies, choose the card that we'd like to place on top, shuffle the rest of the cards and place them underneath. For the nebula, we're going to be able to choose either 1 or 2 cards from a discard pile, and you'll see where those are in just a second, and shuffle those cards back into their deck. For the star, we're going to be able to choose twice or 4 times, choosing a deck, shuffling the deck, looking at the top 2 cards of the deck, placing 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom. And finally, for the planet cards, we're going to either place 1 or 2 cards from this player or this tableau area called the observatory into our outpost. And the outpost is basically going to be a place where we can store a card to use later that allows me not to gum up one of these decks over here and just sort of let me save that card to be used over here. But there are rules for that outpost. And the rules are you can never have different colored cards over here. It means more than 1 galaxy or more than 1 color can never be in the outpost at the same time. And also you can never have 2 of the same card in this outpost at the same time. So you can never have 2 of the same symbol or more than 1 different color in this area. And once they're in here, we can use them as we'd like. We don't have to use them all at once. We can pick and choose what we're using. But when they get used, they'll be discarded into our discards just like the other cards. So that's basically it. We're going to be using those abilities or those powers by getting rid of cards with matching types to activate those powers to manipulate this display such that we have 4 different types of the same color, trading those in to take the voyage of that color. All right, then, so let's get into gameplay. Looking at our starting layout, I see a lot of black and I see a lot of white. So I want to focus on those, but I only have a ship and a star. Here's another star in white. And I only have nebula and a planet in black with 2 nebulas. So I have to figure out a way to either get a ship and a star in black or a nebula and a planet in white. And I think, let's see, the star abilities are going to let me potentially get cards that I like on top of things. The nebula ability right now is useless because I don't have any discarded cards. And the planet ability could be nice, except that would basically just get something out of here. So I'm going to use the star ability, and I think I'm going to do it. Now, remembering this, there are 2 of every color in these decks and 2 of each symbol in these decks. So in total, there are 4 of any one type of card, one specific card. So there are 4 white stars, for example. So if I remove those 2 white stars, I still have 2 more white stars in the deck, which is worth noting because we will need 1 of each type in a color to get those voyages. And if we discard too many cards, we won't be able to do that. So we need to be careful with that. I'm going to use these 2 cards, and I'm always going to tap them this way to the side, and you'll see as we stack, this will show me all of the symbols that I've seen in that galaxy, and this again will show me all of the galaxies that I've seen with that symbol as we build out. Then, this one could potentially automatically become a black star. Will it? I don't know, but it could. So we're going to take this deck using the star ability, which means I shuffle this deck, I look at the top 2 cards, and I'm really hoping that we get, hold on. Yeah, but that's fine. I'm really hoping that we get a black rocket or black ship. We do not. All right, so one of these has to go on top and one of these has to go on the bottom. Right now, it doesn't matter to me which one is which. Like that, and this one is yay. There's my black star. And there's a purple planet. Okay. Then, I don't want to touch the black ones except for maybe this one, but it doesn't matter right now. I'm going to use the planet ability with these two planets. And now you can see what I was meaning. We can see which of the types are showing from that galaxy. And I can put this one here, or I can put this one here. Let's move purple, because we're already starting to get some purples gone, and I don't want to lose too much purple. And we can hope that this is a black card. Ooh, it is. Great. Okay. Then, we're going to discard this black one. Hold on. Before I do that, I need to reset for the next round. Purple galaxy or nebula. And the orange planet again. So we're going to discard this one, and this one like that. Oh, hold on. And this one, I don't know why I skipped it. Those four get me my first voyage. I set the voyage or victory pile down there. Then we flip all of these back over again. White rocket. Black there. Orange star, and okay. Then, purple looks good because I've got a purple ship, I've got a purple planet, and I've got a purple nebula. I need purple stars. So, I only have one rocket. That's not fun. I can use stars to find stars. Yeah. What I could do is I could use, no, because I don't want to get rid of that. So we've got stars, or we've got nebula. Nebula is going to let me recycle something in, and I don't really want to do adding stuff to get that purple star because I don't have any purple stars to add except that one. And then I lose my purple nebula. So we are going to use these two star powers. Like that and like that. And I'm going to shuffle this deck and hope that one of the top two cards I pull out is a purple star. And it is. So purple goes on top, orange goes on the bottom. And then just like that, we discard. So this you can see from the bottom comes from the ship deck. So this gets discarded here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gets me a purple voyage. And these all flip back over like that. All right, then, I don't like what I see, but white seems to be my best option, except that rocket ships really help me find things. But I still think I'm going to focus on these things. So I'm going to use these orange planets. Yeah, hold on a minute. If I get rid of both of those orange planets, I get to put two things over here. But then I'm down to one orange planet, and I still have 2 voyages left. So we're going to have to shuffle some stuff back in later, but that's okay. All right, so then we're going to take this orange and this orange. And I will place this one over here because I want whatever's there, hoping it's a nebula or a planet. This could also be good. Means I'm going to put this one over here as well. Because I played the same color, I get to do it twice. Now we flip things back over again. So purple rocket. So white nebula, and there's my white planet. Sweet. So ship, star, nebula, and planet. I do want to clear that one more than I want to clear that one. Means we've got a white ship, a white star, a white nebula, and a white planet. Gets me that one like that. They flip back over these ones. Okay, so I need a black ship. And right now I'm good on whites and I'm good on purple. I'm going to use this white ship and this purple ship to aim for a a black ship up here. Rocket lets me choose what I want and shuffle the rest. So I choose a black ship. I shuffle the rest of those. That black ship goes there. This flips over. This flips over. So then that one goes there. Rocket, nebula, star, planet. Gets me my second black voyage. And these all flip over like this. Now, purple's looking great, except that I need to have a purple nebula. Yeah. And to do that, I'm going to get rid of these two orange nebulas. And I'm going to shuffle in this purple nebula into here, because this could become a purple nebula, and this now could become a purple nebula because there's two of them in here as well. And, ooh, it is. And this one's not. Okay, then we got rocket, nebula, star, and the planet. Gets me my second and final purple voyage. Rocket, black, purple star, orange planet. We need to start getting some orange stuff taken care of, and I need to get some orange back in the world. But, yes. Black and purple are fun to spend now, because I don't need them for anything. Stars let me look for things. I got a star and I got a planet. I need a rocket and I need a nebula in orange. Then I'm going to play this black star and this purple star. And I'm going to use them to shuffle here. No, here there's lots of potential orange. Looking at the top two, yay. Then flipping these two back over, there's a rocket and a rocket, which is awesome because I can use those two rockets to find the orange. Nope, not there. Find the orange here, which is there, and I give the rest of those a shuffle. Like that. Those flip back over. And I've got a rocket, a nebula. I'm going to save that star. Use this star instead and this planet like that. Gets me my first orange voyage. And we flip over these cards like that. Orange stars. All right, well, first things first. I'm going to use these two purple nebulas to shuffle these two orange, right? When we use two of the same color nebula, we could choose two to put back in the discard. So I'm going to shuffle in those oranges there, like that. Because now I know they're in there. And I'd like them to come out. That flips over, and yay. Problem is, I still need oranges there. Yeah, this is not great. All right, well, we're going to do this and this to move that one over here. And then we flip these two over, because now I got a rocket. Because I need an orange planet, and they're all out. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to... Yeah, I don't want to, but I'm going to have to do a couple of things. I know there's still an orange thing in there. You know what? No, that's fine. We're going to use the black rocket and the white rocket together. There's still a white rocket down here. We're not in trouble. And I'm going to use that to find the orange rocket in here. like that. Shuffling those up like this. Placing that on top of there. Those flip over like that. Oh, that's beautiful. All right, then let's see before we give up. Rocket, nebula, planet. No, that planet came from up here. Planet, star gets me my light voyage. This flips and this flips like that. All right, then I need to get there's 2 orange nebulas in there. That means we got to take those like that, and I need to shuffle this orange planet back into here. And I'm going to keep this pattern up because I don't trust myself shuffling 2 cards. I'm going to count to 10 fast, and I'll stop shuffling as soon as I get there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. And that is not the orange, but that's okay. Because that's also not the orange. So we are going to use that one and that one to exile or put that one over there. That's also not an orange. And if we do this now, we are done. Because I can't use this with anything. I can't use, oh, yes I can. Yes I can. All right, let's do this then. We're going to use this one over here and this one right here to let me shuffle 2 things in from a discard. Means those are both orange. I don't care. I'm going to take 2 things from up here, shuffle them into a discard here. That's not an orange. Huh? Oh, that was stupid. I'm sorry. This orange should be down here, and I should have shuffled that in. Because now I broke myself. And I should have shuffled that orange into this deck, but I wasn't paying attention because I had it in the wrong place. That's okay. It just means we don't get a clean victory. I'm going to use that shooting star with a rocket, a star, and a planet, and you still see me win the game like that. We've got all our voyages in our victory pile, and I did have to use 1 shooting star, but I successfully won the game. So that's the base game. Let me reset the base game setup, and I'll show you what the 4 modules do, how they get shuffled in, and I'll play through one more time using all of those modules. All right, so here we are all set up again as if we were going to be playing the base game, and I'm going to introduce the 4 different modules and how they change the setup, and then we'll go ahead and get into a full playthrough with all 4 modules included. The first modular expansion is called Black Holes and Revelations. And basically what that's going to do is it's going to add 8 black hole cards. Those black hole cards look like this, and you'll see that they all have a different symbol, the 4 galaxies and the 4 types of card. Basically, we're just going to place 1 of each of these into the matching deck. So there's the Delta card, Beta, Alpha, Star, Planet, Nebulas, Gamma, and Ships. And actually, before I hide those, let me explain exactly what those are going to do. But before we do that, we'll finish the special setup for this expansion, because every time we add an expansion, we're also going to be adding more voyage cards. And there are additional 2 voyage cards of each color. For the Black Holes and Revelations expansion, we're going to be adding in 5 of those at random. So we're going to shuffle up the deck. And this is going to be kind of silly because when we have them all of these will be placed in. You'll see that in a minute, but I just want to put this in as is. So there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, the way that this Black Hole and Revelation works is we've got these black hole cards. And having these black hole cards is going to introduce a 3rd action type. In the previous playthrough, I didn't really name those actions, but the first action is launch. And launch is how you get these voyage cards. And the other action where we spend the 2 cards to get the ability is called a coordinate action. And now with the Black Hole and Revelations expansion, we've got a new action called the Traverse action. And basically the Traverse action is simply going to allow me to discard 4 face-up black hole cards in order to take any 3 Voyage cards into my victory pile. So it's basically adding a whole lot more Voyage, but it's giving me a way to get through those quickly. Remember, there are 8 of these in here, so potentially, if we do things properly, we get 6 of these cards back into our victory pile using these, and we only added 5 over there. It's worth noting that with these, that adds the 3rd action, means if we can't complete any of those 3 actions, the game ends. But these also, once they're discarded, can never be brought back into a pile using the Nebula ability, and also these may never be placed out here into the outpost to be used for later. They have to stay on top of the deck until they're used, but they can be shuffled and manipulated using the ship or the star abilities as normal. So that's the Black Hole and Revelations expansion. The next modular expansion is called the Theories and Breakthroughs expansion. For that, we're going to simply be adding 1 of those advanced Voyage cards, so that gets placed there. And this expansion is going to be adding these Theory tokens and these Breakthrough tokens. The Theory tokens are going to give us an additional goal that we have to accomplish through the game, or additional goals, plural, that we have to accomplish through the game. And these Breakthrough tokens are going to basically be powering up one of our abilities. So we're going to start by shuffling these Theory tokens, and we're going to turn over the top one of those. So we can see here there are 3 Nebula, and I'll just put that right here. And then we're going to be shuffling these Theory tokens, and we're only going to be taking 1 for this play. So we will be using this one. And you can see that this Theory token is basically going to be boosting or making better the Nebula action. And in this case, what it's doing to the Nebula action is, when I bring a card back from the discard pile, instead of shuffling it back into the deck, I can simply just place it on top of the deck. And if I do 2 of them, remember, if I use the same color and pick up 2 cards to put back in, I place them both on top of the deck, and I can put them in the order that I'd like to place them there. That's going to be super, super helpful moving forward. Just so you can see the other 3, I will show them to you. This one here, the inflatable biodomes, is a planet upgrade, and what this is going to do is when we place cards out here in the outpost, we can have multiple cards of different colors. But you still can't place multiple copies of the same card. This Stars Breakthrough is called the Reflection Amplifier. And when we shuffle and take those 2 cards, we can choose to place them either on top or on the bottom of the deck. That means we can put both of them on top and both of them on bottom, or 1 on top and 1 on bottom as normal. And then finally, the ship upgrade is called Reversible Thrusters. And this one is going to let me choose one of the 2 ship cards that I used to trigger it. And instead of discarding it, we just put it on the bottom of the deck that it came from. But for this playthrough, we're not using those. We are using the Nebula Breakthrough, which is called the Time Shift Radar. And again, it will let me put my discards back on top rather than shuffling them back in. Now, we said that there are these theories here. And what this means is we need to clear all 4 of these theories before the end of the game, and if we don't win the game. And in order to clear a theory, there's going to be one of each sort of type of card, and each of them is going to have 3 symbols on that. And what that means is, in this sort of display of active face-up cards, we need to have 3 galaxies, or sorry, 3 nebulas showing, in which case this gets immediately put to the side and we'll flip over the next one, which means we need to have 3 of each of the different types showing at some point in the game to have finished completely clearing or beating the game. Expansion number 3 is the Mirrors and Orbits expansion. We are going to be adding 1 more advanced voyage, which now is going to be this Alpha voyage. And we're also going to be adding these 8 mirror cards. And the mirror cards are going to be placed into their respective decks, as we did with the black hole cards, just like that. Of course, these will all get shuffled in a bit. And the mirror cards look like this. You'll see up here that there's a symbol that's just related to this expansion, but over here you see all 4 of the different types of cards. And the way that a mirror card is going to work is I can discard one mirror card with one of any type of card, aside from another mirror card, to sort of trigger whatever the ability is for that action. So when I'm doing a coordinate, instead of discarding, for example, 2 star cards, I could discard 1 star card and 1 mirror card to activate the star ability. We can never spend 2 mirror cards on their own. They always have to be used with another card. And also, just like the black hole cards, they can't be placed in the outpost, and they cannot be brought back in from discard using a nebula. They also can't be used as a wild to produce or to prove a theory. You can only use the actual symbols to prove a theory, not a mirror card. And there's going to be one more thing that they do, and what that means is they're going to actually end up shuffling all of these voyage cards together, and we're going to make 2 columns of voyage cards, and we can only ever activate the sort of bottommost, the fully showing card at the bottom of those 2 rows. But I'm going to hold off and do that until we add in our last expansion, and then I'll come back and do that and explain again what that means. The final expansion that we will be adding in this time is the Glaucous Sun. And this actually adds a board to the game that looks like this. Now, just due to space concerns on the screen, I will place it sideways over here. And we're going to be taking our Glaucous Sun figure, which is this one right here, and we're going to place that up here at the top corner. That's my starting space. This is the final space. And on each of these meteor spaces, we're going to be placing out a meteor token. And as I mentioned, this is going to add in our final voyage cards. So we've got 4 voyage cards of each color, or 16 voyage cards in total. And the Glaucous Sun is basically going to give us another sort of evil thing to deal with, a sort of threat that's constantly growing that we have to pay attention to. It's going to help us get some voyage stuff, but also if this Glaucous Sun figure ever makes it all the way through to the end over here, we will instantly lose the game. Now, it is worth mentioning that if our last action is the launch that gets us our final voyage card, even if it hits the end space on that turn, we do still win the game. And the way this works is, every time we take a launch action, means spending those 4 cards of a color to get a voyage, this will move forward on the track 4 spaces. Anytime we use a coordinate action, if we're using 2 of the same color card, it will move forward 2 spaces. If we're using 2 different color cards, it will move forward only 1 space. Likewise, since we have the mirrors in here, mirrors will always count as a different color, so that will always be the 1 space moving forward. And we are playing with the black holes, which means we have that extra action traverse. Traverse means spending the black holes to get 3 voyage cards. That does not affect the Glaucous Sun at all. But you also see these meteor tokens out here on the board, and the way those are going to work is, instead of using a coordinate action to trigger an ability, I can instead forego or sacrifice that ability to move the Glaucous Sun backwards. If I use a major coordinate, means matching colors, I can move it backwards 8 spaces. And if I use one with 2 different colors, I can move it back 4 spaces. And if I ever move it back onto a space with a meteor token, I will take that meteor token. And the use of these meteor tokens is, I'm going to spend at any point during the game when I've collected these, I can spend 2 of these to buy or to collect 1 voyage card. So we see we've got 4 meteors out here. If I can get them, that will help me get 2 of the cards. So we know there's 16 in there. I can potentially get 2 from there, which leaves me with 14. If I use all the black holes, that's another 6, which leaves me with the original 8 cards that I need to get in the normal way. But remembering there are mirrors in there that will help me with things. But I also have to be paying attention to these theories, and I also have to make sure that this thing never makes it all the way to the end. So I did mention that with the previous expansion, meaning the mirrors expansion, that we do have to shuffle all of these guys together. And we're going to shuffle those together real good. And then we're going to place those out in 2 columns over here at the side of the screen. Like this. And again, I'm only able to, let me move these up just a little bit to make some extra space at the bottom down here for my victory pile. I'm only able to score or trigger using a launch action or the traverse action or 2 meteors, these 2 fully showing cards at the bottom. And as those come off, the next card will be available for me to grab in launch. So that's going to add quite a bit of difficulty as well. And again, that comes from that mirror expansion, the 3rd expansion that I explained. So that's basically it. There's a whole lot going on now, but let's go ahead and get into play and hopefully it all becomes clear. Before I do that, I need to shuffle up these 8 decks, flip over the top card, and we will get started. All right, so here we are all set up for our playthrough, and as you can see, the first 2 here are both black, which is going to be a problem, as we said. So the only black we have showing is here. Everything else is going to need to be manipulated quite a bit to get there, unless we can get a bunch of black holes, in which case we can start picking away at some of that stuff. But let's see what we can do without touching those. I'm going to start by using a ship action, because if I start with a ship action, I can force something to be a black card, which will start here. I'm going to save this one for last, because if I start seeing a bunch of black holes coming out, then maybe I will reconsider the idea I'm having. This moves forward 1 for doing that action. These flip over. Hey, there's a black hole. All right. Then I need to get these 2 to be black. But I don't have any option except Nebula, which doesn't help me at all right now, or the planets, which doesn't really help me, but it lets me clear some stuff out. So let's do that. Planet and planet. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm not using that. I'm going to send him back 1 to get that. No, because that goes back forward. That's a waste yet. We'll move up 1, and we will send this one over to the outpost in the hopes that we might get a black card coming out here. Well, there's a rocket. I don't need it anyway. I was hoping that'd be a star. That's a white one, and that's a purple one. All right, well, that doesn't help me at all. Then, let's use a rocket action to pull out. Yeah, you know what? Let's aim for these black holes. Moving that forward 1. I'm going to pull out a black hole here. Oh, that was a mistake. No, that's fine. Black hole comes out here. Like that. And then we cross our fingers. Ooh, look at that. There's my 4th black hole. All right, then I am going to get rid of these 4 black holes. I should be paying attention to Nebula. I haven't been, but I haven't seen many, so that's fine. That goes there. That goes there. That goes there, and this comes off here, and that's 4 black holes. And I think I'm going to keep one of the blacks there. Problem is there's a purple here and a purple here, an orange here and an orange here. So if I take 2 and 1, that's double orange, and if I take 2 and 1, that's double purple. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to take those first 3 off that side. No, I'm not, because that'll give me a white white. I'm going to take those 3 off that side. I like that better. And those come here. These all flip over again. That does not affect that one at all. Mirror, planet, star, planet. Then I want to use this star and this planet. It doesn't really matter, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this one back. It wastes 1. No, 1, 2, 3. Let's not do that yet. We'll put that one up here. And flip these over like this. Come on, nebulas. No. Okay. But I do have 3 black now. I need a black rocket ship. So, that means he goes forward 1. This time I am going to do what I just did, but backwards. So that plus this star. He goes back 1, 2, 3, 4. We take that meteor. A rocket, yay. And a mirror there. Okay, then we are going to launch. 1, 2, 3, and 4 like that. Means he moves forward 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. I take this black card, so now we're orange and white. These all flip over, yay. Because now I have 1, 2, 3 nebula, this one is finished. And the next one we need is 3 planets, which I do not have currently. But orange is looking nicer. Means I need a star and a planet in orange. So I will take this mirror and this star, because that could potentially be orange. And I'm going to shuffle this and hope for orange. And this moves forward 1. And we got, yay, there's my orange. And do we get lucky twice? We do not. That's okay. And that's also not a planet. Then I need to find a way to get a star in orange. And there are a bunch of different ways for me to do that, but here or here, yes. I want to do this, orange, orange, and we're going to use those 2 to add this purple back here on top. Means this is going to flip back down, and this is going to be placed here, because this is going to give me a chance to get back to that. And if hopefully this comes out as a star and this comes out as a planet, and everything will be wonderful. But doing that, he moves forward 1. That's not a planet. That is a planet. It's not what I wanted, but we at least get our 3, 1, 2, 3 planets. Then the next one of these that comes out is stars now, which we certainly don't have any of. And I don't want to touch my oranges, but there's not much other option here. Then it's a bit of a waste, but we're going to use this orange and this purple to move them back to get that meteor. Flipping this, yay, there's my star, and there's a rocket ship. Kind of like another star at this point, but I don't really want to waste the power to do it, because I do need to get stars for that, but that's okay. Let's do a launch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Means this also 1, 2, 3, and 4. You get that orange. These flip over like that. I just also realized off screen I do have my 1 shooting star that I could use for this playthrough if needed. I only have 1 star. I'm looking for purple or white, but I can always get rid of something with these 2 meteors if I need to. Purple has 2 options, white has 2 options. I like purple. So we're going to use these 2 ships like that. And that goes forward 1, and we can look for this or this in white. Doesn't really matter. I want to look for this one in white. Here we shuffle like that. That's my white nebula. There's a white rocket, great. There's a purple planet. Then, orange bothers me. I want to get rid of these orange planets. Nebulas are nice. What am I missing for purple? Ship, star, planet. I need a nebula. I don't have any purple nebulas out. What else? Rocket, nebula, star. I'm missing a planet for white. Yeah, we'll pull some stuff back later. I'm going to put this orange planet and this orange planet. Means this goes forward twice. But I get to put two things in here if I want to, but there's no want to. So that's just going to have to happen like that. There was no other option for me. That flips over. That flips over. Still not a white planet. But if I can't trash that one. All right. No, I can't do that either. I need that white one. Yeah, that's okay. I'm going to do that anyway. This black nebula, this purple nebula, he moves forward one. We place this white planet back on top like that. This flips, this flips. Come on, no stars. But that's okay. I'm going to use this rocket ship. Wow, we're almost out of rocket ships. This nebula, this star, and this planet. Take my white card, means he goes 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Flip, flip, and flip like that. So now we're looking purple and orange. Purple is looking great. I just need one of these guys. But how do I get it? Honestly, let's just do that. The mirror with the ship. Like this, I'm going to take out a purple nebula like this. These get shuffled back up. There's my purple nebula like that. This flips over, this flips over. Still no stars. Means I'm going to use this purple nebula with these three cards over here, which is a purple sphere or planet, a purple star, and a purple ship over here. And that makes him go 1, 2, 3, 4 to get me that purple like that. And then this flips over like that. White and orange. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, purple's a problem. Well, I'm going to do this. Those two purple nebula go away. I get to put two things back on top of decks. And white and orange are looking like the right things to do. So I'm going to put a white nebula there, a white planet back there. He moves forward 2. This flips over like that. Yes, okay, star, star, star. This one's done. So our last one is ships. And we only have 2 of those showing at the moment. I'm going to use these 2 orange stars to send this guy back 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gets me that meteor. And potentially, no, but we can fix it. Gets me those. I'm going to call these purples a wash, and we're going to use a purple here and the orange here. Moves this guy forward 1, but I get to choose something of my choice. So I'm going to choose a white star here. Shuffling that back up like that. White one. We're going to be troubled because I just put a ship at the bottom down here, and means I don't have any ships left here, and I still got to hit the ships. That may have been a problem, but that's okay. He moves forward 1. Yeah. And there's a mirror. Okay, then nebula. No, not yet. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Not yet. Mirror goes away with the nebula black. Means this moves forward one. I get to pull out one thing from the junk. I'm going to pull out, no, not white. Yeah, maybe white. Yeah, we got lots of white. I'm going to pull that back out. And then hope that, good. That was a wise decision, because now I got ship, ship, ship. This is done. We're done all our theories. Like that. Now I am going to use these white cards like this. Ship, nebula, star, and planet like that. Means 1, 2, 3, 4 to there. I get that white card. These flip over black. Black. There's another white. All right, so we're looking for star and nebula in white. So we're gonna do, no, I don't like it. So I can use those two nebula, but then there's nothing for me to put out there. 1, 2, 3. The problem is if I use those two, he's going 2 more, and then I can't get back to there. But that's my only option unless I use the rockets, and I don't want to get rid of that rocket because both rockets are there. So I guess I have to do this and this, and I'm going to send them back to get that. That may have been a mistake. Purple, black rocket ship. And then, yeah, we're out of rockets all around. Don't think this is going to work out, but let's see what happens. Purple and black, like that, are stars. I want to choose from here, maybe. Top 2 cards. Yeah, there's a white, but that puts the black hole right at the bottom. This flips over. This flips over. All right, then the problem here is I'm not having much luck. And that puts him back there. I'm going to use my shooting star with this rocket, this nebula, and this planet, which moves him 1, 2, 3, 4, but gets me this white card. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need 2 more regular ones. That flips to orange. That's not. The problem is, that's my only orange rocket ship, and both my orange planets are down here. So unless I can get one back in there, I'm out of luck. Purple's out of luck for sure. Black, we could potentially do something. Okay. How do I get that one back? I don't. Stars, but then I lose my orange star. Yeah. I need to eliminate something, but there's no way to get that back. There's still a mirror in here. Yeah, I'm going to have to do this. That purple planet and this white planet sends this black card to the outpost. And that was not what I wanted to see happen, because I need to add orange, and I don't have any orange, and that goes forward 1. Yeah, we're in trouble. Yeah, that was not at all what I wanted. All right, that's fine. White galaxy, orange galaxy. Moves forward 1. Means I get to add an orange back on top of that, but that's not going to help me any. This flips over. Oh, great. There's the black galaxy I really wanted before. Well, if I had a black planet, no, but they're both in here. Yeah, I think I'm out of luck at this point. No. Yeah, I'm out of luck. There's no way for me to get anything done right now. Well, let's see. Black goes there. Purple goes there. I'm just looking for black holes at this point just to get closer to the end. I'm going to shuffle these guys up for stars. Nope, none of those gets me stars. There's a black hole right there. I lose, but I'm just going to push for my black holes. So there's a star and there's a mirror. Means this one has a black hole left in there. Hold on, that's one, that's two. Look at the top two. Of course not. There's another black hole. There's another black hole. But guess what? We're out of options. I can't get the last black hole. This guy's about to hit the end anyway. I don't think there's any way for me to do anything there, so I will spend my 4 meteors just because I can to take 2 more of those away. But there are still 5 cards remaining, and that's the end of my playthrough. And now you can see exactly why I don't ever play with all of the expansions included, but I did want you to be able to see how they all play. And I hope that that was helpful, even if it was a little bit painful to play that way. So while we're here, let's take a look at the components like I always like to do. You've seen everything now in the play. Now that I've shown you all of the pieces or shown you all of the expansions, everything is out on the screen. The artwork here is your standard Shadi Torbey artwork. You either love it or you don't love it. I tend to really enjoy it. It's kind of a little bit dark and twisted, but also very sort of whimsical and colorful. Cool kind of sketchy stuff. It's very space themed. I do like that the artwork matches the type of cards. So there's a planet on the planet card, and there's stars on the star card, and there's some kind of weird ship on the different ship cards. Right, let me find some more ships. Black ship is there. But you can see all the different ship cards have different ships on them. There's a purple ship like that. Right, all of the different star cards have different kinds of stars on them. All of the planets, you can see, have different kinds of planets on them. All of the nebulas have weird sort of shapy symbols on them. Everything is very well designed. The mirror cards, I'm not sure I really get this as a mirror, but I like the illustration. The black hole, same thing. It's more like a doorway into the unknown, but I still love the illustration. The artwork is great. The board here is nice quality. The tiles are all very clear, very obvious, very thick, heavy card stock. Again, all of the symbology, everything here is very easy to understand at a quick glance. There are a bunch of stars in the game. Now, if I had included one or two more of these, I may have been able to win, but we were just playing with the one of them. The other thing that all of these games come with is the little sort of mini. I don't know if you want to call it a mini, but the sort of figurine that it comes with. This is the Glaucus Sun. In this case, again, very much in the design style of the art style of Shadi Torbey, and if you like that, you'll love it, and if you don't, well, then you won't. But I think this is a really cool piece, and I do enjoy the inclusion in all of those. Now with that, that is sort of all of the components. The other thing I do love to do in my videos is take a look at the inserts or the organizers in the box, and this is one that doesn't disappoint. All of these Oniverse games come in these really cool deluxe boxes, and this is what you've got here. You've got this cool planetscape that opens up to sort of an indoor desk kind of area that opens up again to a really nice organizer. All of these meteors can fit in either of these bottom pieces. Now, it does seem to be shaped like something special, so maybe I'm not getting it, and maybe these stars go in here instead and the meteors can go in there. Or maybe there's something coming in the future, or maybe this is a cutout shape that he used in other games. But anyway, the stars fit very nicely up in here. The glaucous sun goes in there very well. All of the tiles stack into that spot there. All of the cards fit into either of these two card slots. The rule book fits very nicely in there. Hold on first. The board fits very nicely in there. The rule book fits very nicely in there. This closes up. And now the rule book becomes, whoops, the other way around, I guess. I don't know if that's supposed to be inside or outside. Guess it doesn't matter one way or the other. But the point is that this very much looks like the outside sky over this planet and or the window scene through that like that. It looks really, really cool. It's very functional. Big thumbs up on the inserts for all of these Oniverse games. With all of that said, maybe back up top and I'll let you know exactly what I think about the game and all of the expansions. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. This, as I mentioned in the intro, is the latest game in Shadi's Oniverse series of games. And I've had a little bit of experience with some of the other games, but not a whole lot. Many, many years ago, I did download the app version of Onirim, which is one of the biggest, or maybe the most well-known game from this series, and I played it a ton. I really, really, really loved that game, enough to try out one or two others of the series, and I do remember that I tried Stellarion, and it didn't really connect all that well with me, and I sort of, from that point, never really had a chance to try out many of the others, and I've always been really interested. And then I saw Shadi has now created his own publishing company to bring these games back out and to continue the series. And then I saw that this is the newest one coming out, and I said, hey, this is the perfect opportunity for me to jump back in and see what's going on. So here we are. I did play through the base game and the game with all of the expansions. Again, I wouldn't recommend putting everything all in at once. It does get crazy, it does get long, and it does get super complicated, or at least super difficult. But I did want to show you everything, and that was the easiest way for me to just sort of throw it all out there so you can see what's included in the box. So let's talk about first what I think about the base game itself, where the sort of core mechanisms here, where we are sort of manipulating these 8 different decks to get specific cards on top to build collections or sets. I mean, sets of cards, one of each different type in a specific color or a specific galaxy, in which case you trade them in for one of those Voyage cards, hoping to get all of the Voyage cards by the end. It's a fairly simple, straightforward kind of game, at least as the base game. And realistically, once you get into it and you understand how the game plays, I'm not sure that you'd ever play just the base game regularly. I think you'd always be sort of mixing in and twisting up things with these modular expansions. But let's talk about this, because the base game is pretty interesting. This is probably the first kind of game that I've seen this. There are lots of card games where you're manipulating a hand of cards, playing cards to get cards, and sort of rearranging things in your hands in order to hit certain sets or hit certain scoring conditions and so on. But this game plays all on the table, which is very interesting to me. There's nothing in my hands at any point during this game, except like that star token that I could trade in to, you know, make things easier towards getting those set collection goals. But everything plays out on the table. And we are manipulating all of these different decks, discarding certain cards to trigger abilities, to trigger the different decks in different ways, to put things on top, or to reshuffle them back up, or to mix things back in from the discard. And how you use these abilities and when you use these abilities and which colors you're aiming for really does change things up quite a bit. And I really do enjoy this core mechanism and this sort of new experience that I haven't really had much experience with, as far as manipulating cards that aren't my cards, that are just sort of the display cards that need to display a certain thing in order to move on to the next step. And I think it's pretty cool. But then let's talk about the 4 modular expansions, because this is obviously where things sort of expand a little bit more, pardon the not kind of pun, and get a little bit more interesting. So the first expansion is the black holes. And this is probably the one that you'd sort of always throw in unless you don't kind of thing, because it doesn't change the game a whole lot, right? All this is doing is adding in 8 black hole cards, 1 in each of the decks, and when you have 4 of them, you get rid of those 4 to take 3 of the Voyage cards. But at the same time, you're adding in 5 more random Voyage cards. So what this means is the amount of things you need to do by the end of the game increases, but then you get these 2 abilities that take off all of that stuff that you've added back in, plus 1 card. So realistically, if you play the black holes well, it's actually easier than the base game, because there's only 7 instead of 8 Voyage cards that you need to get, if you don't count the ones that are taken out by the black holes. But that's sort of oversimplifying things, because the ability to get those black holes to where they need to be is a little bit more difficult, because once they've been discarded, they can't come back. You can't put them into the outpost to get them out of the way. They have to sort of block up the stuff that other things are doing. So the more black holes you have out there on the board, the less other abilities you can do to make other things happen. So it could potentially be dangerous, because you could have all black holes out there and then, well, you can't do anything and the game ends. So yeah, the black holes make things a little bit more difficult, but then make things a little bit more easy, and it really does just add one small extra layer to the game, and this is one that I throw in more often than not when I'm playing the game. The next expansion is the Theories and Breakthroughs expansion, and I think this one is maybe my favorite of the four, because it does two interesting things. It only adds one extra voyage card, so it doesn't really change the endgame goals all that much. But it adds in that extra layer of the theory cards, where I have to make sure that somewhere in the display I have 3 of the same symbol, and it has to be the 3 symbols, or 3 of the symbol that's showing on the theory tile that's showing at that time. So it's not like I can just have any 3. I have to have a specific 3, and then the next specific 3 is going to be something else that's going to be randomly decided by whatever the next tile is that comes out. So it adds another layer of something I need to pay attention to that isn't just building sets to get the voyage cards, and I like that. But on top of that, it also gives you a breakthrough that sort of overpowers one of your 4 abilities and sort of makes you think about the way that you interact with the cards and play the game in a different kind of way. And I really, really enjoy that, because if you play the same game over and over and over again, it could start to get stale. But if you tweak the ability, or one ability, every time you play, then you're sort of focused on that ability over the others potentially, and it sort of directs you in a slightly different tactical or strategic pathway as you're playing the game. So that expansion to me is a whole lot of fun. The next expansion is the Mirror expansion, that adds, again, another one of those cards, the voyage cards, but also it adds in the mirror cards. But also it screws up, and I don't want to say screw up, but it plays with the way that the voyage cards work. So the mirror cards are basically giving me an extra way to use an ability by only losing 1 card, which is nice, because if I have to discard 2 cards to trigger an ability, especially a minor ability, that's not great. But if I can lose just 1 card and a mirror card that does nothing else, and it's just there to help with that, that's a little bit better. The problem is, when you play with the mirror expansion, you shuffle all the voyage cards together and you make 2 rows, and you can only get the bottom 2 voyage cards. And wow, does that change things up. Wow, does that make things hard, because now I can't just make a set. Now I have to make a specific set. And that means I may have to discard lots of stuff to make that specific set come out. And that's where things get a little bit not as fun here. This is maybe my least favorite of the sets. By itself, it's not so bad, because you're only adding 1 extra voyage. And you do still have 2 options, and the mirror cards do let you trigger the abilities more easily without wasting as many cards, so it's not like it makes the game impossible, because it does give you the boost of being able to use the mirror cards to trigger those abilities. But it does add a little bit more luck, because you have to have the right colors come out in order to get the right colors that are showing, and that's all you can do. So this is one that if you want to play with this, you may also want to play with the black holes, because then you can use the black holes to get rid of cards that you can't take care of, and use the regular colored cards to get rid of the cards that you can take care of, right? So this one might not be great on its own, but could be great when compared with black holes, or combined with the black holes. And expansion number 4. Number 4 is the Glaucous Sun expansion, which brings in that board. And this, again, changes up the game dramatically. Just like the Theories and Breakthroughs, this one adds a whole different mechanism to the game as well. Because now, every time I do something, I'm pushing a sort of timer towards the end of the game. And as that timer is ticking along, then the game might end. Unless I sacrifice some stuff that I would be using abilities to sort of tick that timer backwards. And ticking that timer backwards then also potentially gets me these meteor tokens that I can trade in to get rid of one of my voyage cards. So this is another way that we could potentially deal with that 2 columns from the Mirrors expansion if we have those meteors. So we have to be a little bit more careful, except the more we use those mirrors, the more we're moving forward. But also, we could then use the mirror as a minor coordinate action to move backwards, so we have more option to move backwards as well. So this one pairs nicely with the mirrors because it gets you the meteors to help deal with those columns a little bit, and the mirrors do let you move around a little bit more on the board, both forward and backwards, and I think that's a good combination. That said, the black hole and the mirror and this together, you saw it's all kind of overwhelming. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. So again, I wouldn't play with all four. I think either the theories and breakthroughs or the Glaucous Sun, the board, those two are sort of adding mechanisms to the game that I don't think I would want to do together all of the time. I think the mirrors by itself, maybe not so great, but mirrors and black hole together or mirrors and Glaucous Sun together is a win. Black hole and Glaucous Sun, maybe. Black hole and the breakthrough theories, maybe. It's not a negative or a positive, it just adds another layer. Again, the black holes doesn't really hurt too much. It's just if you try and throw them all in, especially theories and breakthroughs with the board, it does get a little bit overwhelming. It does get more and more and more and more difficult, especially if we have the black holes with all of those cards and the mirror with all of those cards shuffled randomly in a column, and then also add in the Glaucous Sun, which makes me pay attention to this timer. It's just sort of crushingly difficult, and I'm not sure I'd recommend that. So I think my favorite is probably Theories and Breakthroughs, closely followed up by Glaucous Sun. Black holes is fun to add in, to just add a little bit more. And mirrors I'd avoid unless you're playing just mirrors and theories or just mirrors and Glaucous Sun. I think those are good pairings. That's basically my thoughts on the game. It is a whole lot of fun. There's a lot of interesting and new here. It's a fairly simple game that's also fairly nuanced and difficult when you get into some of the more crazy combinations of expansions. Definitely, if this is the kind of game you think you might be interested in, it's definitely unique enough that this is something you should definitely try out if you have the option or the ability to do so. I hope this video was helpful. As always, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I always ask, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below. It really does help out the channel. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.